So this morning, I'm going to be talking about the customer journey and why it's important to track it. I mean, a lot of it is sort of stating the obvious, really. But if you're new to wedding cakes, it might not be something that you've perhaps got sorted out yet, or sort of worked out a way of how to do it. But it is quite important to take any customers that you're taking on and make sure that you're going through all the different stages so that everything is in place. So I will talk you through that and how I do it. Morning, Maria. I mean, customer journey is often talked about in business, you know, from how you get your customer on board. Oh, excuse me, too much tea this morning. Oh, yeah, from getting your customer on board, and then what kind of an experience they have between, you know, coming in, engaging with you, and you actually giving them the product or the service that they've bought, basically. And sometimes it's a good idea to stand back and look at what you do from a customer's point of view. Is everything really straightforward? Do I keep in contact with my clients enough? Do I give them enough information? I find sometimes that, or previously actually, that couples would email me a couple of weeks before, particularly if they've booked, say, a year in advance. I've taken the initial payment, you know, the deposit, for want of a better word, and then it's months and months and months before I, you know, contact them again. And they'll sort of send a, is everything all right? Kind of, you haven't forgotten about me kind of email. So I do try and, you know, keep in contact with them, just so that they know that you're, you know, they are still on your list and still, you know, but you have to balance that with knowing that, particularly for a wedding, they've got hundreds of suppliers, well, not hundreds, but they've got loads of suppliers that they're dealing with, loads of people, loads of things that they're trying to organise. They don't want to be bombarded by a weekly email from you necessarily, because they don't need that. They just need to know that everything's all right, everything's on track, and I'm going to get my wedding cake when I've, you know, on my wedding day. That's sort of basically what you need. So where's my little list? I've got my little list here. I'll show you the spreadsheet that I use in a second, and the headings, because I do put everything down on an Excel spreadsheet, because I love Excel, and I can color code it and things like that. So consider how you're going to do it. If you know Excel or Google Docs, which is very similar, you can use something like that to help you track. Or you can just do a Word document. If you're not a computer type person, make sure you've got a book or some kind of system whereby you can, you know, put your customer's name in and then tick off a list of everything that you're doing for that customer. Could be that you have a, you know, 10 steps or 12 steps or whatever it is. And then for each customer, you've ticked off when you've done it and how you've done it and all that kind of stuff. I'll show you my spreadsheet in a minute, and hopefully it'll become clear. So I record mine. I record them when they've inquired and I've had a call with them, either phone call or Zoom call, an initial, and I've sent them out a quote. I will then record that on a spreadsheet. Okay. If I've had an email that just says, I'd quite like this cake, can you give us a quote on a, you know, for 100 people or whatever, and I just send a quote out, I don't necessarily record that. I only start recording it when I've spoken to them or there's a little bit more engagement on their part. If it's just an inquiry, I don't generally. I will note those down, so if I've emailed, I will note down to follow up inquiries. But as today we're talking about the customer journey rather than inquiries and following up. we'll talk more about what I do when I actually get engagement, if you like. So first of all, it's consultation, phone or Zoom. I do an initial just to sort of see where we are kind of call, and then ask them if they want to have an in-person one. Some of them do, some of them don't. So I'll jot down, that'll be jotted down. I'll note down whether I've sent them a quote and whether they've responded, whether they've actually paid the initial payment. Once they've paid the initial payment, sort of everything else kicks in. So I will write down when their balance payment is due. I will put the date on when that is due. And then I regularly look at that list and think, right, what emails have I got to send out this month? What balance payments are due in this month? And I will send out an email, just a reminder that, you know, your balance payment is due. I hope you're having a lovely preparation and that kind of thing. Yeah. Some couples, for some cakes, I use fresh flowers provided by the florist. So for some cakes, I will make a point of asking the couple who their florist is so that I can talk to them. So I will write that down and then make sure that I've contacted that florist a good few weeks in advance to talk about which flowers are toxic. That's generally what it all boils down to. Some are brilliant. Some florists are just fab and they know all about that and they're great. Some not so much. I have to be a little bit assertive sometimes, but I obviously write down the venue, and then about 3 weeks before the wedding, I talk to the venue. I'll contact the venue, ask what they need. Some of them want your insurance details. Some of them want ingredients lists emailed. I always say to them, I can't email your ingredients list until I've actually made the cake, because as you know, you can plan for using one ingredient, you get to the shops, it's all gone, you have to go somewhere else for it, and the ingredients might be slightly different. So I say to them, I'll do that the day before the wedding once I've made the cake. They're all fine with that. There's no problem with that at all. Some venues ask for all that information to be emailed. Some of them say no, on the day is fine. Some are bemused that I actually offer to to send it to them. Oh, okay, no one else offers that. It really is a complete range with the different venues that I work with. Anyway, let me show you the spreadsheet because it's easier actually to talk through if you can see what I'm talking about. Hang on, let's. Hang on, there we go. Here it is. There it is. It's that one. Okay, it is filled up down below, but obviously I can't show you because of its personal data. But this is what I have along the top. So hopefully you can see that. So when I get my client in, obviously name goes in there, wedding date goes in there. And what I try and do is I try and put these in wedding date order. So I sort of copy and paste and insert them in order. It just makes it easier for me to see where I am then. I'll put the venue in there. And then have they asked for a Zoom or phone call? Have you had a Zoom or phone call? So if they've contacted you and said, oh, yes, I'd like to speak next Tuesday, what I would then do is I would colour the square. So I sort of do an amber and green. So I'd do an amber. Yes, they want it, but it hasn't happened yet. Yeah. Have I sent a quote and my T&Cs? Okay, usually that comes after the Zoom and phone call, once I've found out what it is they want. Sometimes, as I said before, they don't actually want a phone call. They just sort of say, I want this type of cake for this many people. Can you do it for me? And they don't necessarily want to speak. So I will just send them a quote. So it's sort of the ambery colour if they've asked for it and I'm in the middle of doing it, or it's a green colour, sort of a nice pastel-y green on here, if I've actually sent it. Okay. If they've then paid the initial payment, obviously that goes in there. And what I will do is I'll put the amount in there as well on my spreadsheet. So what have they actually paid? And then these two next columns are what the balance payment is. So I know, let's just put some figures in just for the hell of it. So let's say that the whole cake is 500, let's say. And my deposits, my initial payments are 30%. So that would be 150, wouldn't it? Okay. Oh no, so the balance payment actually for the whole cake would be 350, wouldn't it, if the whole cake's 500? I just realised I haven't got a column for the total cost of cake. You can add that in. But what I do here is I put balance payment reminder. So from the date of the wedding, I work 3 weeks backwards because that's my terms, whatever your terms are, put the date in there. And then every time you look at this list, you can look at that and go, oh, yes, I'm due to send those people an email. I'll get that sent out this week or this month. Okay. Have they asked for a taster box? Sometimes they'll tell me exactly what flavours they want and they don't want to have a box. But sometimes I've sent them a taster box. So if I've sent it, but they haven't chosen their flavours yet, that would be the ambery colour. And then when I'm looking that reminds me, oh, yeah, that wedding's coming up, but I don't know what flavours I'm making yet. I need to contact them and ask them. Because a lot of couples, I send them the box, they send me initial email saying, oh, that's lovely, thank you, we'll let you know. And then, of course, life takes over and they don't. So it takes them ages to get back to me. So that there is just to check, oh, I must contact them and find out what flavours they want. Yeah. If they want an in-person consultation, I'll put that in there with the date. Not all of my couples do, they're generally okay with the Zoom or the phone call, but some of them want an in-person one as well. And I try and do those at the venue if I can. I don't do them at my home because my home's very small and a little bit tatty. So I try and do them at the venue. What I then do, for me, I do lots of cakes with sugar flowers. So if their cake is involving sugar flowers, I will put that on there and I'll put a brief, say roses or something. And then that tells me when I'm looking at my spreadsheet, actually, you know, this wedding is in, let's say, I don't know, 15th of August. What I must do in the couple of weeks before that is plan in time to make those. Yeah. Now this venue box here is, have I contacted the venue? Okay. So if I haven't, I'll put that in that peachy colour. Once I've emailed them and I've got a time and a date and all the details, that will then go green. And sometimes what I'll also do is I'll put in the date, put a random date in there, of the email that was sent, so that when I'm looking through this and I think, oh, what did the venue say about parking? I can quickly look up the email and find out, because my memory used to be very good, but then I had children. I blame them for everything. And now my memory is rubbish. So I have to jot down everything. Just check. Right. And what I mentioned before is if I'm using the florist, if they want me to put fresh flowers on, and in that case, then I use it. I never buy fresh flowers myself. I tell them that right from the start. I just don't. Always get the florist too. So if I'm using a florist, again, that will go that colour. Once they've told me the name of the florist, I'll put the name in there. And once I've contacted them again, that will go green. And I'll put the date that I've had an email or phone conversation with them. I try and do most of my things by email, because obviously then you've got a record of it all. If you make lots of phone calls, it's easy to forget things or, you know, lose the information that was given you. So I do vast majority of my stuff by email, so that I've then got a record of it. So that's most of your customer journey up to the actual delivery. That's really all you need to know. If you think there's anything else that you think you might need, just add a column in and put it in. But for most of my wedding cakes, that's most of the steps that are taken. Okay. And then the last one, review. Have I sent out my link to have a Google review? I must admit, I forget to do that a lot of the time. I'm very naughty, I should do. But if I've got a review, if I've asked for a review, I will put there. If they've given me a review, obviously it goes green. Okay. And this obviously becomes my, my record. It's really easy to see at a glance what's the peachy colour that needs attention. The green is done. That would probably go peach. So if the wedding date's the 15th of August, hang on, what would that be? If it's the 15th of August, 3 weeks before would be 25th of July, that would be. Oh, no, let's do it that way. So I'm looking at a spreadsheet and I'm thinking, oh, July, actually the 25th isn't that far away, so I need to get sorted with a reminder for that. Yeah. It just really helps to, so you haven't got to remember everything. Anything that I can do that involves me not having to remember lots of things is always good, because of all the things that we have to do. So there we go. Oh, Margaret, hello, Margaret, nice to see you here. So there we go. So that is what my customer journey looks like. I would recommend you having some sort of system like this. So when I first started, I just sort of had my order book and wrote notes in a book, and it was all a bit ad hoc and a bit scrappy. But once I had this kind of system, it does make life so much easier. And jotting down when you get emails from the couple really helps. Then you're not searching through, having to find. My email system, I am quite organized with that, and I've got loads of folders. So I have a bookings folder. So all the emails that I get from my couples or my venues or my florists go into that folder, so that I know when I'm looking for an email from someone, I just go into that folder, search the person's name, or if I've got the date, I just scroll down to the date that I know I got the email and find it. It does save an awful lot of time, rather than sitting there for 15 minutes trying to find the email that is there somewhere. And say this helps keeping a track. It helps to say you can send reminders if you haven't got your flavors or your florist name. You can then be sending out a quick email to the couple, so could you just let me know, so that when you get to 2 weeks before the wedding, everything is there, so you know what ingredients you're needing to buy, what time you get into the venue, you can plan out your time, and it just makes everything so much more efficient. So I hope that has been helpful. That's really all that we need to talk about with that. So it's a moderately short session today. Next time I will talk about reviews, so that's in 2 weeks, and we'll talk about getting reviews, how to get them, where to get them from, and the kinds of things to ask. There we go. So yes, so let's just stop sharing there. If you've got any questions, please do ask. I'm here for that if you need to. If you're watching this on replay and you've got some questions, just pop one down. Tag me in though, because I'm not sure that I get notified if anyone comments on one of these videos. But if you just tag me in, I'll see it. And if I forget to answer it, just nag me. I'm not at all bothered about being nagged about things. So there we go. So there we go. So that's customer journey, keeping your lovely customers, your lovely wedding couples happy, keeping them in the loop, keeping them, it's making them feel safe and secure that they will, they will get what they want on their wedding day. That's sort of the end of the day, really. That's what you're giving them, that that security and that trust is what you're doing, which all works in your favor, because, you know, after the wedding, if they felt happy and, you know, safe, if you like, all the way through, they're far more likely to give you a lovely review and recommend you to all their friends. And, you know, that word of mouth is very valuable. There we go. Okie dokie. I will leave it there. Do let me know if there's anything you need in the group. I shall be popping in and out as always. If not, I will see you in a couple of weeks when I talk a little bit about getting reviews. All right. So have a lovely weekend. Have a lovely couple of weeks. I hope you're all going to be busy with lots of wedding cakes. Do let us know in the group if you're making any, if you're going to wedding fairs, anything like that. Do share what you're doing, because it's really great to see. And I will see you soon. Okay, bye.